we got to talk just for a second about because this is by popular demand, as they used to say. The public, the people, the cult of Cornette have requested this by voluminous, all manner of communication, is what I'm trying to say, has been asking if we watched the Rampage 6-person event with Mark Briscoe, Papa Briscoe, and referee Aubrey against Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Karen Jarrett, with Sanjay Dutt and Zippy the Giant Pinhead along ringside. And yes, we did, because how could we not, right? And
there's plenty of reasons why we could not watch this match.
No, you're drawn to it like any other natural disaster. If the aliens were raining, photon torpedoes down upon us, people would glance right before they were obliterated. But they set this up in some angle on one of their off-brand programs. But let's see because I bet Jeff is in it. He's going to try to keep it from stinking. And there's enough talent in the periphery of things that if they could just corral the girls and use Papa Briscoe to his best advantage, this might not go completely down the porcelain throne. But then again, there was always the possibility because Aubrey's involved. And did you love Tony Schiavone's comment at the start of it? Aubrey's an athlete. She has a dance background. Apparently, that is what qualifies most people on the AEW Wednesday night show, at least, to be athletes, is a dance background.
You would think that she would incorporate dance in the moves that she did in the ring, if that's the case.
Well, yeah, a pirouette into a spinning kick, or what do they call the fucking thing in ballet? A je ne sais quoi, or whatever? Where they do that? What?
I didn't know you were familiar with the ballet.
Yes, I've been to the ballet.
Really?
Yes.
Where?
I even had a dog named Tutu one time. That's because I was so young when I got the dog. I'd only seen The Wizard of Oz once, and I couldn't remember whether the dog's name was Toto or Tutu. And I settled on Tutu, and Mama and Daddy Cornette didn't have the heart to tell me I was wrong. So the dog's name was Tutu.
I wish you didn't name him Foot, but let's go back to what we were talking about here.
All right, well, this dog, here's the thing. Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal should be in the main event singles mix on either one of these programs, Saturday night, Wednesday night, whatever kind of night. And they're doing this. And we've talked about the ball that was dropped with Mark. And Jeff Jarrett is a master of psychology, putting matches together and doing the grandiose finishes where at least it gets people hooked. There's twists and turns. But again, should he be using that on this when they've got such a conglomeration of messes on their national television program amongst the main event talent? Couldn't he be sitting down with these guys and telling them how to put a fucking match together instead of putting a match together with, I love Papa Briscoe, but a 60-something-year-old senior citizen, his wife, and a fucking referee? And Papa Briscoe can be used, or could have been used, if Mark was in the proper position, as a money-drawing gimmick, either for ratings or something on pay-per-view. You've seen it done, Brian. The New York audience loved Papa Briscoe in the right context.
With his shirt on.
That did help, but also in the right context as far as being in something that was featured, something amongst main event talent, something that had emotion to it. And then you get him in and get him out, and he's fabulous. But now they've just, okay, here it is on our lowest, rated show. I love Karen. She's a wonderful woman. Not sure she needs to be in the ring, but if it was Memphis, but I'm not sure again with all the other issues.
If it was Memphis, people would care about this.
Yes. But also with all the other issues that this company has with their television presentation, it's not like that this was the outlandish part of something. It's just another outlandish segment. And in Aubrey, who might need to go to the glue factory. I'm not sure. But anyway, as I said, Papa Briscoe wasn't bad. He can do shit, and he's a stout, stiff son of a bitch. But there was no hot angle which helped the presentation. People that the fans actually cared, or the issue that the fans actually cared about. But he gets over when people are surprised he can do shit, which, he does a couple times in the match. And then finally, it didn't last that long, and we got the cat fight. And at first, Karen mounted Aubrey. But then Aubrey got on top of Karen and used her closed hooves to get the advantage. And she's wailing away on her. And then, fittingly, Aubrey was using the flying mares on Karen Jarrett. And then Karen reached up and gouged Aubrey's eyes because she wasn't wearing her blinders.
You got me with fittingly she was using the flying mares.
Well, that's when she would buy her hair, and she was snapping her right down.
Oh, so wrong.
Anyway, so then it all broke loose, broke down there in wherever the fuck they were at, and Karen gets the guitar. And Karen goes for a guitar shot, but Aubrey mule kicked her in the leg and took the guitar away. And then you saw the theatrical stage performing background of referee Aubrey Ed as she milked the guitar in a ridiculously overdramatic manner with that Buster Keatonish face. But before she crossed the finish line with the guitar, Jay stopped her and said, no, hit me instead. And nothing happened forever. And the referee was staring right at everything, with the woman with the guitar in her hand and all this byplay. And then suddenly, when Zippy jumps up on the apron, the referee turns around and Aubrey horse collars Jay Lethal with the fucking guitar. Now, one would think that the referee might have heard the explosion of the guitar behind him, or, when he turned back around, there was still pieces laying everywhere, but a little loophole. But Karen tried to give Aubrey the stroke, and then Aubrey turned around and jockeyed for position and put Karen Jarrett in the figure 4, and Karen gave up. And Aubrey went to the winner's circle by a nose. And it really wasn't very, very long, so it didn't have time to fall apart. What'd you think?
It was embarrassing and stupid, but it was on Rampage, so who gives a shit? 300,000 people may have seen it. I think that you and I have never seen eye to eye on Jeff Jarrett in terms of, we agree with what he could do in the ring. We disagree on where he should be and how he should be presented. But I think his run in AEW so far has been pretty embarrassing. Again, for everyone who wants to say, oh, look at how good he is in the ring at his age, despite that Dax Harwood match, which was awful. Look at every embarrassing thing he's doing. And now they're doing a concession stand brawl on the next match he's having on Wednesday.
Now? What?
Isn't it him and Mark Briscoe in a concession stand brawl on Wednesday?
I think I saw a graphic, but I was zipping. So I didn't know it was a concession stand brawl.
Yeah, he's taking so you say it reminded you of Memphis. That's the thing. Jeff Jarrett knows what worked in Memphis because his father promoted it. And he takes a lot of those concepts, and now he's just throwing all this shit against the wall. His wife's in there. I'm sorry, Karen shouldn't be in the ring. What?
Hold on now. Because I have to disagree with you about one thing. And you say it's Wednesday night, right?
I'm checking right now.
Okay, it's the night we get to stay up late and do all those things. I've known Jeff Jarrett and I've worked with him fairly extensively, more than most people over the past 20 years. And I don't think that he just went to Tony Khan and said, hey, let me have a concession stand brawl match on TV with Mark Briscoe. I believe he might have said, I'll work with Mark Briscoe, or I'd like to work with Mark Briscoe, but that sounds to me like a Tony Khan homage of some description, like he's done with so many other things, where Sabu has to come out and throw a chair at somebody's head and fall off the top rope.
And that could be it, because Tony Khan, despite being a fan of wrestling and watching lots of wrestling, never has shown that he actually understands the things that worked and why they worked. So that could be the
content, like Shit Stain, the backstory of how they were built up to, the context in which they were presented or what they were supposed to lead to. They don't retain those things. They fought in a concession stand.
But everything with Jeff, the clique he's with, it's brought Jay Lethal down. Jay Lethal is being used by shit, and then they put him with Jeff Jarrett, and now he's being used like shit, and he's a joke.
Now he's being used more often like shit. No, I'm not disagreeing with you about the group.
Sanjay's terrible.
And overacting. I'm not disagreeing with you about the group. And now at this point, I'm not disagreeing. Again, Jeff can have good matches. But at this point, they've nullified people giving a shit about that.
And Tony doesn't have to hire everyone's fucking boyfriend, girlfriend, or spouse.
Well, but hold on a second. I was going somewhere. I was halfway around the bend, rounding the far turn, coming up out of the pack like Aubrey Ed. At this point, why doesn't he just have Jeff sit in the back when everybody's going over their finish and bringing up shit like, you know you're going to fucking kill yourself if you do that, or don't do 18 things on top of one another, do them one at a time so everybody can see all, or just putting the finish together, ups and downs, building to it.
Jeff's not you.
Produce matches.
Jeff's not you. I think you're giving Jeff more credit than, because the other thing is,
I've seen him. I've watched him do it. If you have a grip on how to follow a basic train of thought, he can lead these guys through a fucking finish better than they're doing now.
We shall see. But every single segment with him is awful. Every single segment, it's awful. As soon as they come out there, that whole goof troop out on the stage, Sanjay and the giant who does nothing, a feckless giant. We've seen giants booked like garbage before. We've never seen a giant who just, I don't know, he has feelings. Oh no, please don't kick me out of ringside. I don't know what the hell's going on there. So that's fucking terrible.
No, please.
And then you have Karen who, I mean, she's an older woman now. I don't need to see her out there doing all this shit. It feels like TNA. It feels like TNA in a bad way.
Well, Dixie's coming up next week. She's going to be on a pole, which is a position that she probably was in many times in TNA. I just wasn't in the room at the time.
Well, you didn't have wine. Do you think Dixie would be a better heel on TV today in 2023 than Karen Jarrett?
No. Well, here's the thing. Yes and no. And for the people who actually knew and had to work with and underneath or in whatever fashion Dixie Carter, she'd be a big heel. But for the mainstream population, Karen's a much better performer than Dixie was. Karen can be a heel, but she can also be normal, whereas Dixie comes off like a heel most of the time, no matter what she's doing. But
it feels like Jeff and Karen's gimmick should be something like, they flip houses or something. Not whatever this is.
Well, wait a minute. Hey, there could be something there. We'll flip your house. They can do wrestling promotion renovation. And they can flip the house. It can go from 2,500 to 25,000.
If that segment replaces QTV, I'll sign up for it.
There you go. All right.
I think we're on to something. I'd rather watch them on a show flipping houses than I would them on the wrestling show.
Well, then, but wait a minute now. Then who gets to be the good renovator and who gets to be the bad renovator? Is Karen just blowing the budget? Jeff's trying to keep her in line.
I think it starts where Jeff comes home and he says, Karen, I found an angel. And then they go to work.
And the show will be dedicated to the memory of Burt Prentice.
That's right.
Bless his soul.
And all the angels out there we've yet to find.
we can set up the tomb of the unknown angel. Because if Burt Prentice didn't find you and Ronnie Gossett didn't find you, then by God, you're unknown.
You didn't live in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.